Welcome. In this series of videos, we are going to talk of configuration decisions. Configuration decisions are what gives the structure to a firm and also what creates what we currently call as the supply chain. The first part of the configuration decision is the classic make-buy decision, where businesses choose what part of the business are they going to do it themselves and what part of the business is going to be done by their suppliers. And the second part is the classic location decision of where the services or the manufacturing is going to be delivered from. Now, a few parts here. Number one is that these configuration decisions are applicable both for manufacturing as well as service industries. It's very easy to imagine manufacturing. For example, an automobile manufacturer. Well, an automobile manufacturer chooses, as is currently the fashion these days, to be an assembler. So most automobile makers are merely assemblers of vehicles. So they have their own factories which assemble the parts together. So that's their choice. The choice is that they're going to be assemblers. Everything else, all the components are outsourced. Now, the second choice is where will their suppliers have their factories at? So, for example, Toyota, when they manufacture their components in Japan, most of their suppliers, a substantial majority of their suppliers, are within 10 miles of their factory in Toyota City. So, as far as the location decision is concerned, Toyota has decided that, well, as far as Japan is concerned, we would want most of our suppliers to be in the region around us. Versus General Motors has a very different approach. They go for global sourcing and they could have suppliers from all parts of the world supplying to their factories in any given part of the world. So this is the idea of a manufacturing based configuration decision. Well, a service industry also could make a similar decision. So consider a bank, right? A bank decides that, well, as far as the customer facing decisions are concerned, branch decisions are concerned, they're going to do it themselves. So they're not going to outsource branch maintenance to a third party. Well, they could outsource the ATM maintenance, any automatic teller machine maintenance or operations to somebody else, but the branch operation is generally done by a bank. Now, when they decide that, well, they could decide about, let's say, check processing or call center operations. And here they could have two choices or multiple choices actually. One, they could do their call centers themselves in the same geography. They could outsource the call center to a different geography in Asia and maybe have their own captive call center in Asia work on that call center operation. Or maybe they could completely outsource their call center and help desk operation to a third party in Asia. So the first important part about what I wanted to bring here is that this make-buy decision is applicable for manufacturing as well as service industries. And a second related component is that this whole configuration decision is applicable for manufactured parts as well as service parts. So, for example, General Electric could decide that, well, manufacturing a certain electrical component, they could do it themselves, they could outsource it. Or General Electric could also have this idea that maybe for customer service, well, we could do it ourselves or we could outsource it. Now, this decision, configuration decisions, are tremendously important for businesses for many reasons. Number one is that they create customer service and they bring in the revenue. So depending on what kind of suppliers I select, what kind of partners I select, the quality of my product is dependent substantially on that decision. And so if a business makes a mistake of selecting wrong kinds of suppliers, well, their quality could become problematic and then their revenue, customer loyalty could become problematic. Secondly is this idea that my costs are also dependent on the kind of configuration decisions are configured. So some regions, for example, apparel making in Bangladesh and Sri Lanka is surprisingly cheaper and again can be good quality than most parts of the world. So if I as a business choose to not make in Sri Lanka or Bangladesh an apparel, well, I could be adding substantial impact on my cost. The number three is that outsourcing or make-buy decisions, the location as well as the make-buy, can actually create our own competitors. So there is a classic story that Acer Computers was initially a supplier to Dell, and they rose on their supply hierarchy, starting with small components and then making motherboards and then making complete machines. And that created the expertise for Acer Computers, which they then used to create their own brand. So what happens is sometimes through these decisions, we actually can create competitors. And at the reverse, if we have strong relationship with certain suppliers, we can also inhibit supply competition, because the key suppliers are with us. So we see this in pharmaceutical industry, where let's say there is a particular university or a particular lab which specializes in one kind of research. Well, businesses that are pharmaceutical companies that are manufacturing those kind of products would have very strong relationship with professors on that on that university. So what happens is all the students who come out with that expertise of that particular line of business are automatically absorbed by this company, and other companies don't have access to this expert labor to for getting and becoming a competitor. And the last part is that outsourcing or make buy decisions also lead to a decision of the future skills. So once a business has outsourced a particular activity, well, it sort of loses the ability to be expert in that activity in the future. So any activity once outsourced, it permanently is almost permanently stays outsourced, and it's very difficult to bring it back. Again, this part is not 100%. For example, Amazon and Walmart, to a good extent, would outsource a good part of their logistics. But in recent years, we've seen that they've brought it in. Amazon has even brought their own aircrafts and is doing its own logistics. So again, these are general principles, and there are always exceptions, and businesses have shown that through innovative processes, they can always go beyond these principles. So in this series of videos, this is how we'll approach this topic. In the next video, we will look at classical theories on make-buy, whether to make or whether to buy. After that, in third video, we are going to look at theoretical perspectives of location decisions. And then we get into the last part, which is some case studies and some actual examples of businesses to try to see how these theories are applicable in real life business. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy these series of videos on configuration decisions.